Alright, and welcome. This is my first of my video set here to show how we create a paint mask for painting the pinball cabinet. Now what I've done is, as you probably saw before this, I basically took an 11 by 17 sheet of paper and I printed 1-inch squares on it and then cut a hole out in the middle and laid it down on the pinball table. Took a picture with my camera. Why am I doing that? Because I don't have a scanner. And this technique will enable you to get a reasonably accurate image. So the first thing to do is to rotate it. Let's go 90 degrees so that it's, don't have to, but I prefer working this way. We'll zoom in a little bit. And all right, so now we know, I mean, this if we look at this image size, you can see it's 56 inches by 42 inches at 72 pixels per inch, which is a completely useless, non-working set of numbers. What we need is an accurate number so that when we print, we can print it at exactly the right size. Excuse me. So that's where these grids come in. So the first thing to do is I'm going to just grab it right at the corner, right at a grid junction, and that one up there at the top, I'm looking at the top right here. I want to make sure I get it accurate. And down below here, we're going to make sure, I want to make sure I've got all the data. So in the top right, you can see it goes right to the end of the line. In the bottom right, it goes right on the line. It's a little bit beyond it, but that's okay. We'll get there. And the bottom left, it's a little bit beyond it in all cases. So, and then we crop it. Okay, so now we have an image that is pretty close to what we want. We'll adjust it in a bit, but we can. So now we got to find out what the exact size of this thing is. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 inches wide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 inches high. 14 inches wide, 10 inches high. So we'll go and we'll tell Photoshop this is 14 inches wide and it is 10 inches high. And while you're at it, let's change it from this wimpy little 72. I'm going to make it 200 dot per inch. Don't really need 300. It doesn't need to be that accurate. But 14 inches wide, 10 inches high, 200 dots per inch. Bam. Now it doesn't look any different, but now it is a scaled image. It's not. It's still distorted a bit. Doesn't. You know, you couldn't print it and get it to work right, but that's okay. We're almost there. Now the advantage of this is now I can use the distort button in Photoshop to kind of make it correct. So the first thing we're going to do is create a layer from background, because you can't do it on the background image. We'll call it original picture. How's that? So now we have a layer that's called original picture. And now that it's a layer, I can right click on it and go to free transform. The advantage the free transform has is you can tell it to scale, you can warp and distort it, you can rotate it if you want to. You can do all sorts of interesting things with free transform. The one thing that I'm primarily interested in right now is the distort button. With the distort button, you can grab a corner and mess with it. Yeah. So now what we do is we will move that out so that I get that edge right on it. And then we'll grab this corner, the bottom left corner, and do the same thing. So now there's a tiny bit of warpage in there, but not enough to worry about. And so now what we have is a accurate drawing. This thing is the right size. So we'll go in, and I don't need the grids anymore, so I might as well just cut all that stuff out. So we'll, well, actually I think I'm going to go about here, something like that, and we will crop it again. Now I can zoom in. So what's the point of all of this? I now have an an accurate drawing. We could print this out, lay it down on the playfield, and it should be exact. But the ultimate goal of this is to make a print mask. As you can see, let's zoom in here, go to 100%. You can see I've got a lot of speckle, a lot of paint removal in the black. And what I want to do is make a black paint mask. So we're going to go in and, whoops, this Photoshop is an old version and it tends to tends to get a little wacky sometimes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm a little nervous about doing this. This is actually the first time I've ever really done this, and so I'm going to kind of experiment here, doing all of this. And so what I want to do is do it in the background, on the playfield, the farthest away that I can get, so that if I screw it up, the users, because we're talking about painting here, so if I screw it up, the player won't notice. So I've picked the farthest end all the way at the very top of the playfield. I'm selecting an area. I use the lasso, the angular lasso, so you can just kind of draw the shape that you want. I selected an area where the sides there's nothing there to match against, so if I screw it up a little bit, you will never even notice. So now, the key thing that we're doing here is where we've selected an area, and now what I'm going to do is go in with my magic lasso tool. I forgot what it's called. Can't remember what the name of the thing is, but it selects based on color and how close the colors are. I'll set the tolerance at about 50. Let's see how that works. I don't want anti-aliasing. I don't really care about it matching. I don't want contiguous, because if you turn off contiguous, you'll get everything that's black. The word bonus and, you know, all the dots in the blue, and you'll get everything. I want only contiguous, and I want it to, whoop, shoot, messed up. All right, let's back out. Go back to this selection. That's right, I forgot. This is a selection tool, so I can't use the existing selection. So what I do with the existing selection is I copy that, go to a new layer, and paste it. And now if I turn off the old one, you can see now this is all we have to worry about. Don't have anything else. So now I'll go in and just select the black. Now you can see that we've got, it does a pretty good job of selecting the black. There's a few areas where obviously it didn't know what to do, but it does a pretty good job. So now what we do is we retain that selection, which is all the black, create a new layer, go to the paint tool, and paint it black. What does that do for us? Well, now we can turn off the old layers, and now this is what we've got. We've just got one layer of black, pure black. And so now what I'm going to do is, but there's obviously some cleanup to do. I'll just go in with a pencil tool, give it a pretty large paintbrush. Could not, oh, I gotta actually pick the layer that I'm working on. Dumb. And now you can see I'm just going to go in. That's a little large actually. Let's go down a little bit. And just kind of start cleaning it up and getting rid of all the speckles. So I'm just painting, just basically painting. And I'm going to turn off the video now, and when we come back it should be alright. Through the magic of video, I finished updating it. I now have the complete image done. Now the next step is to make sure, just double check that it is in fact the right size. So we're going to switch to landscape view, and I'm just going to print. Doesn't quite fit. Oh, that's right, it's 14 inches long, which is a bit longer than my printer. But since it is an accurately scaled image, we can go here. Oop, let me just, since it is accurately scaled now, I don't really need the grids and all the rest of that stuff, so I'm just going to cut it to there, do an image crop, and there's our image. What size is it now? Now it's only 10 by 2 3/4. So now we should be able to print. Make sure it's 100% and print. Print. Now the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the piece of paper and lay it on the table and make sure that it is in fact exactly accurate. So we'll see that next.